Assalamualaikum and greetings to our respected lecturer, Madam Jin Moskon, and to all my fellow classmates. So today, our group, which is Group 5, will be discuss or present about the topics that we have chose, which is the food price rise faster than the sun. If you hear this kind of topics, what you thought about? So basically, it was about the when the rapidly food prices arise nowadays. Obviously, it will lead to several effects toward the individual and also the businesses. So if you can see from our poster, we already list down about 8 main points and including that supporting points. So the first one is about the food insecurity incurred, which is according to the World Bank 2022, food security can be achieved or can be gain when everyone is able to sufficiently meet their dietary requirements for health existence. For example, all the supplements that they needed for their body is in there. And last year, food insecurity affected about 345 million people compared to 135 million people affected during the pandemic. This is because, when after the pandemic or after any eruption or what kind of that was happen in our country, obviously all the prices going to be gained more than before, which is after this pandemic, it was incurred like 20% in food price. Well, not only that, according to Statista Research Department in 2022, increase in food insecurity will result to rise of hunger rates globally. It was not only about their health matter, but also the hunger people also increase. And for instance, in Yemen, about 16.2 million people was facing food insecurity in the long time and keep rising more than before when global hunger crisis sparked. And because of this, we can see rapidly increase in food price can result to severe damage, especially in food system among the society. Okay, next, pressure lay on small businesses. This is also one of the effect that businesses can facing when the food price has been arise. So for instance, if you can see in agricultural sector, which is the farming, small farmers will suffer more in a change of business than the largest one. This is because the large business or large farmers have the tendency to violate their dominance since they have the strong and powerful backbone. For example, their financial is strong rather than the smallest one. And unfortunately, during the rising of food price, the cost of numerous raw materials will rise, which will result increase in production costs. And other than that, the small farmers are forced not only to produce a higher cost, but also they need to pay higher rates for raw materials. This is something that not negotiable among the small farmers, because they need to follow what have been ordered by the biggest businesses. And since rising food prices will put pressure on farm commodity prices, which is the raw materials, higher commodity prices will boost demand for agricultural inputs and raise the cost of borrowing money. Since the smallest farm have not didn't have any strong protection in terms of financial, they need to seek for other financial sources. For example, they need to be in debt towards someone, and obviously this kind of things will be rising the debt among the small farmers in order to fulfill the demand that have been needed.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. One of the consequence of increasing food pricing is the closure of small business. In a certain area, 40% of consumer spending in a consumer by food costs. The inability of the small enterprise to pass on the higher cost to customer poses a problem for their ability to remain in operation. Smaller businesses are more susceptible to suffering through periods of declining consumer expenditure. For accounting, Local E 2022, in the year following the initial shutdown, 9.7% of the restaurants were forced to permanent close their door, demonstrating the pandemic impact on the restaurant business, despite the fact that the food industry has clearly been hurt by this pricing have been rising for longer. Pork price skyrocketed in 2018 due to a conception. The next 2 years brought about a permanent changes in the dining. Due to the rising of food insecurity, the largest food exporting nation had begged more supply for their own use. Due to the increased demand, those who were forced to export had to boost their pricing. As a result of rising inflation, several firms are boosting their pricing for customers. A recent CNBC survey, small business survey, found that about three-quarters of small business owners reporting rising supply expenses. Despite the fact that response was similar to that of the fourth quarter, the poll revealed that 47% of business passes expenses onto customers in the first quarter, up from the 39% in the previous quarter by Michelle F. 2022. And the last point supporting is over 80% of small business owners has raised their rate in effort to compare inflation since operation and firm is more expensive naturally considering that some of you consumer might not agree to this higher price point that can be resisted. One result of the increase in the food pricing is that the government had to spend more money to pay for subsidy for high food pricing. To protect their residents from record food pricing and skyrocketing energy costs during the conflict in Ukraine, government must make difficult policy decisions. Countries use a variety of policy measures in response to this major rise in the price of the most vital commodity. Our examination of this widely report member country measuring suggests that many governments made an effort to slow the rise in the domestic price when the pricing the product rose internationally, either by decreasing tax or through explicit pricing supply subsidy. However, the support any initiative aid to the financial stress already caused by the pandemic. Supporting number two is, for instance, the domestic comments and consumer affairs minister of Malaysia told CNBC that the country is experiencing inflation and the government is implementing effort to curb rising of food costs. Next, supporting. During the spike in the food pricing in the year, the government subsidized a variety of products, including chicken, egg, and cooking oil. Additionally, it gave our record high subsidy for important goods, including electricity. Okay. The government set a new ceiling price for the chicken in the Peninsula Malaysia at 9 ringgit 40 cent per kilo and 45, 43, and 49 cents for egg, depending on their respective grade on 1st July 2021 to control the price of quality. The exit to result in the increase of 97 170 million subsidy for full the farmer in 2022.
Hello and good day everyone. My name is Elc Malin. I would like to share some of the effect of rising food price on individual through statement in several articles. First effect is about push people into poverty. According to the article by Invenick and Martin 2008, cited in David 2019, increase in food costs frequently result in poverty. Food poverty and hunger may result from price fight, which will have a terrible long-term impact on human capital. It can be seen from January 2006 to March 2008. Rising food costs drove 21 million individuals into poverty in middle-income Latin America. Statement article from Robles cited in David N. Gustafson 2023. In addition, from article Faharuddin 2022, the growth cost of food also contribute to Indonesia's high poverty rate between 1997 and 1999, which instantly boosts family spending to the point that households were unable to buy enough food. According to poverty article in year 2022 also mentioned this impact, state that when the price increase and become more costly and unaffordable for those who are already struggling, people may experience poverty. Second effect is about increasing in the food malnutrition. According to the SUMRED 2020, one of the most evident causes of food and nutrition insecurity is a rise in food price. Following high and rising food price, children in developing countries are at high risk of malnutrition. Stat- Statement from the article Daniel and Edidet 2020. Other than that, through article Makawi 2016, malnutrition is affected both immediately and over time by price increasing, especially for the elder, children, and other communities members. Lastly, the decrease in agriculture activity has resulted in a rise in the cost of commodity. The consequence of increased food costs is cause of serious malnutrition by federal 2019. That's all. Thank you and have a nice day.
Good day to Madam Jenny. So now let me continue with one of the effects of rising food prices is that people switch from brands to generics. According to Tim Nelson 2021, he discusses how rising grocery prices are leading some consumers to switch stores in search of better deals and lower prices. As food prices continue to rise, many consumers are feeling the financial strain and are looking for ways to save money on their grocery bills. One way they are doing this is by shopping at different stores, including discount retailers and grocery stores that offer lower prices or sales promotion. The article notes that some consumers are also making changes to their grocery shopping habits to reduce waste and save money. For example, many people are buying in bulk, meal prepping, or planning their meals in advance to avoid buying unnecessary items and reduce food waste. At the same time, some retailers are responding to rising food prices by introducing new products and promotion to attract and retain customers. Where, for example, some stores are offering more private label products or creating loyalty programs to reward frequent shoppers. And according to Nathaniel Mayerson 2021, he discusses how rising grocery stores prices are impacting shoppers' behavior and buying habits in the United States. As food prices continue to rise in the US, many shoppers are feeling the financial strain and are looking for ways to save money on their grocery bills. One way they are doing this is by cutting back on their purchases or opting for less expensive brands or products. Some consumers are also switching to discount retailers or online shopping to find better deals. He also notes that rising food prices are also impacting the types of products that shoppers are buying. For example, some consumers are buying more private label or store brand products, which can be less expensive than name brand option. Others are opting for plant-based or meat substitutes, which can be less expensive than meat's product. At the same time, some retailers are responding to rising food prices by introducing new products or promotion to attract and retain customers. And for example, some stores are offering more private label or store brand products or creating loyalty programs to reward frequent shoppers. Next, one of the effects for rising in food price is a tighter household budget. And according to Ellie Roden 2022, she discusses how rising food costs are changing consumers' habits, with many consumers seeking discounts and promotions to save money on their grocery bills. As food prices continue to rise, many consumers are looking for ways to reduce their grocery expenses, and one way they are doing this is by seeking out discounts and promotions, such as coupons, sales, and loyalty programs. And according to a survey cited in the article, 65% of respondents said they use coupons and discount more frequently now than they did before the pandemic. She also notes that some consumers are changing the way they shop for groceries in response to rising prices. And for example, some are buying more store brand products or purchasing non-perishable items in bulk to save money. Others are making changes to their diet, such as cutting back on meat or buying more plant-based products, which can be less expensive than animal-based products. And according to Taranya Arumugam 2022, she discusses how rising inflation is impacting the daily life of Malaysians, with many people reporting that they are skipping meals, cutting back on spending, and staying at home more often to save money. As the cost of living continues to increase in Malaysia, many people are feeling the financial strain. Some are reporting that they are skipping meals or eating less to save money on food. Others are cutting back on discretionary spending, such as entertainment and travel, to make ends meet. She also notes that rising inflation is having an impact on businesses in Malaysia, with some reporting that they are struggling to stay afloat due to higher costs for supplies and utilities. And this can ultimately impact consumers, as businesses may have to raise prices to cover their expenses. And overall, rising inflation is a major concern for many Malaysians who are looking for ways to manage their expenses and maintain their standard of living. The government has taken steps to address inflation, such as implementing price control on certain goods and increasing subsidies for low-income households. However, it remains to be seen how effective this measure will be in mitigating the impact of inflation on the economy and the daily life of Malaysians. And according to Mike Graziano 2022, he discusses how rising inflation and other economic factors are impacting consumer spending habits, with many consumers shifting their spending towards services and cutting back on discretionary purchases. As inflation continues to rise, many consumers are feeling the financial strain and are looking for ways to cut back on their expenses. One way they are doing this is by shifting their spending towards services such as dining out, travel, and entertainment, which can offer more value for their money than physical goods. He also notes that this shift towards services is also driven by changing consumer preferences, with many people placing a higher value on experiences and social connection than material possession. Additionally, the pandemic also has played a role in this shift, as more people are seeking out experiences outside of their homes after months of lockdowns and restrictions. At the same time, many consumers are cutting back on discretionary purchases such as clothing, electronics, and home goods to save money, and this can have an impact on retailers and manufacturers who may need to adjust their strategies to meet changing consumers' demands. And overall, rising inflation and changing consumer preferences are having a significant impact on consumer spending habits, with many people shifting their spending towards services and cutting back on discretionary purchases. And last but not least, according to Kara Hilton 2022, she discusses how rising food prices are impacting household budgets and grocery shopping habits in the UK. As food prices continue to rise in the UK, many households are feeling the financial strain and are looking for ways to cut back on their grocery bills. One way they are doing this is by shopping more frequently and buying smaller quantity of food to reduce waste and save money. Additionally, many households are turning to budget-friendly grocery stores and discount retailers to stretch their budgets further. She also notes that rising food prices are driving changes in consumer behavior and preferences. For example, many people are opting for cheaper cuts of meat or plant-based protein sources to save money on their grocery bills. Others are buying more frozen and canned foods, which can be less expensive than fresh options. At the same time, some retailers are responding to rising food prices by introducing new products and promotion to meet changing consumer demands. For example, some stores are offering more budget-friendly options and meal deals to help shoppers save money on their grocery bills. And overall, rising food prices are having a significant impact on household budgets and grocery shopping habits in the UK. In conclusion, as all the costs of living continue to rise, it will be important for households and retailers alike to find ways to adapt to these changes and maintain their financial stability. Thank you.